Hi, this is Shauna with Glowing Up Shauna. We're back today to do a full face of e.l.f. makeup. Everybody is asking to see what a full face of e.l.f. would look like. So there's a lot of options because they have a lot of products, but here we go. So over my shoulder, you can see that e.l.f. has a skincare line and they also have makeup, and then they just recently came out with a whole hair product line too. So they're really launching into most everything beauty. But for skincare, one of their first lines that they came out with is this blue Holy Hydration line. And the one that's gotten sort of the most praise is the Thirst Burst drops, which are excellent. I also really like their makeup remover balm. They have a gentle exfoliating, the serum, this triple bounce serum. The toner and this lip balm is really good. It feels really good on the lips. So going in this morning earlier, I put this lip balm on and I did the Thirst Burst on my lips. And then I also did the hypochlorous acid spray. This is just taking down any redness or irritation. It's a part of my daily skincare routine to use a hypochlorous acid spray, and I really do like the e.l.f. one. They also have a vitamin C, which sometimes vitamin C serums can be pretty expensive. I'll link all the costs and everything down below, but it comes out yellow and you can just do a little bit. You don't need very much, but this is only a daytime product because it sort of protects your skin from the environment and also gives you a little brightening and glow. And I really like this one. And then they also just came out with this new Holy Hydration Barrier, Restore and Calm for Sensitive Skin. And this one is really great as like a prep before makeup. Sorry, turn around. So I was just gonna kind of use this as my last layer before I go in with my sunscreen. And they also came out with some really great sunscreens. Their glowy sunscreen, which is what I usually like to use, is the Whoa Glow line. And the Whoa Glow line comes out in different colors. So you basically look and see the color that sort of closest to your skin tone. And so for me, I couldn't decide. There's a lighter one that's called Sunbeam. If you can see, it's a little lighter than my skin tone, but it does have a little bit of a glow to it. And then the next one up that I grabbed is called Sunburst. And this one, if you can see that, is also glowy, but just a little bit, like kind of more of a bronzy tone. So if you were looking for a lighter face, I would go, you can just pick whichever color you're sort of interested in. But today I'm going to do this darker one, the Sunburst. So I'm going to put that on. I'll be right back. I also wanted to mention for sunscreen, they have a spray that's actually a 45 broad spectrum SPF, sun protection, and a setting spray. I actually haven't used this product, but this is intriguing to me to be like, let's say you're out, out and about in the daytime and it's hot and sunny out. You could take this with you as a sort of reapplication method for sunscreen. And then they also have the stick formula. This one's the SPF 50 Invisi-Stick, which is great for, if you want to use your hands, your neck, any men that don't want any glow or whatever. So I like that they have a variety of sunscreens for different people's preferences. I think that's really helpful. And just kind of random, they also have makeup brush cleaners. It's called the Clean Queen Liquid Brush and Sponge Cleanser. Of course, cleaning your brushes is very important. And it's nice to know that at the sort of lower price point of e.l.f., that you can get one that's actually good. I've used it and I did like it. So e.l.f. is pretty famous for their primers. They have their like sticky primers that they went viral for last year. But now they've kind of come out with these new ones. There is one that's called Blemish Control Primer. So if you're acne prone, this would be a great one. And then this one is called the Poreless Face Primer. So anytime you have like pores in your face, especially as we get a little bit older and our pores get a little bit bigger, using a primer to sort of fill in your pores before makeup is very helpful. And then I have a lot of redness. So this one I got really excited when I saw. This is called the Tone Adjusting Face Primer. And the green color cancels out redness. So I really am excited about this product. So let's go in with, and they also have this putty primer that is poreless too, that's in this little like pot container. So you can always, you know, mix them up or do whatever. So like this putty primer, you can just sort of put like only want to use a primer for the skin type that you have. Like if you have oily skin, they will have, you know, look for an oil control primer. Or if you have dry skin, look for a moisturizing or glowy primer. You know, if you have larger pores, look for that. So, you know, really, primer is about prepping your skin for makeup, but also sort of adjusting things to help out whatever issue you are currently dealing with. So that one is the little pot primer, poreless primer. And then this one that is in the squeezy bottle is in a pump, and it just comes out white. And you can also just, you know, it feels sort of obviously lighter and less thick, but I think it feels silicone-y, like it's basically accomplishing the same goal as the putty primer. So I think it just kind of, whatever the texture preference that you have is great. Okay, so this is the redness corrector. Comes out, it looks a little bit like kind of bad guacamole. And then it comes out green, as you might suspect, because the green, I don't know if you remember from our foundation video, that when you color correct, you go on the opposite side of the color wheel. And so green cancels out red. It's not taking my redness down dramatically, but it definitely does feel very slippery on the face. Feels really nice, actually. The next thing that we're gonna do is they have the stick that's for like under eye balm called the Glass Slick Serum Stick. Wow, say that 6 times fast. Bouncy and plump peptide blend. Here's something to also remember. Anytime that a product comes with one of these little inside caps, don't toss it. It's there to stay there when you're not using the product because it will keep it from drying out. So then you just twist it up, and then an eye serum when you're, you know, 40 plus or having problems with your concealer getting dried out or any lines or wrinkles around your eyes, a plumping eye serum or eye balm, I should say, is going to be really helpful to get your under eyes balm on first before going in with any foundation or concealer. So very first thing I like to do is put a lip stain on. So I'm going to wipe off my lip balm that I had put on prior so that it's a more dry surface for the lip stain to go onto. And they have these lip stains in several different colors. The ones that I picked out for myself are Burgundy Did That. It's like a burgundy color. The Cherry Cola is this one. And then this one's really pretty. It's just Left on Red. It looks more like a pink than a red to me. So I'm going to go in with this Cherry Cola. It's kind of a rosy color. And I just like to kind of come in with a lip tint. So you take your balm off, and this allows it to, if you had the balm on before you did this, it's not going to stick at all to your lips. So kind of wipe any balm off and then go ahead and come in with the tint, and it just is a real subtle color on the lips, but when it dries on there, over time it'll kind of give the little stain to the lips, so that when throughout the day, if your lipstick comes off, you still have a little bit of color on your lips. The next product that they very recently come out with, and I'm very obsessed with, is this new Main Stain Lip Marker. So these are a little bit like there's the Huda Beauty ones that became really popular maybe a year ago. The ones that you have to kind of leave them upside down and they're a lip stain and kind of a liner. I have a couple different colors. These ones are way less expensive and I think they do a great job. This one's called Beige Bait. This one's called Chai Me, like chai latte. And this one's called Rose Macaron. So I kind of do a little blend of them. I actually need my magnifying mirror for this. Oops. Because I have to get a little more up close, but I just put this on where you would put the liner and just locks that stain in a little bit more. You can go all over the lip with this if you wanted to, but we'll just do that for now. The other thing about the other lip stain that we used, the watery stain, is that if you wanted to go for like a really natural makeup look, you could also come up onto the cheeks and use it as a really nice, subtle, natural blush. Okay, so for e.l.f.'s foundation products, just for complexion, I really like their Soft Glam. I think this might be $8. It's very inexpensive. They also have the Halo Glow Skin Tint, and then of course they have their famous Halo Glow Liquid Filter. So I'm gonna come in with, so it just depends on what look you're going for. If you're going for more like a really no makeup but just glowy glowy look, the skin tint from Halo Glow is probably a great bet. So for me today, I'm going to go in with the Soft Glam Satin Foundation. This is so pretty on the skin. And also I'm using the e.l.f. Complexion Duo brush. I think this brush is kind of a dupe or closely resembles the It Cosmetics number 7 brush that's so popular and I like it. So of course, as we talked about before, you're going to come in where you need the most coverage on your face is where you go first, right? So you're going to come in, mine is in the like sort of redness in the center of my face, and then go out from there, just tap tap tap, kind of get it pushed into your skin, around the nose. And then this brush, because it's the dual-ended, the other side is meant to be the, I always kind of come up on my ears just so I make sure that my ears and my face are never different colors. This product, usually I'm used to foundations, go like a little bit is better, but this one is kind of, I feel like it's not going quite as far as some foundations, so you just need to use a couple little dollops, for me at least, for the coverage that I like. And then I'm going to come on top of this with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter, which kind of just gives a glow to the skin. And this product actually has its own ginormous doe foot. This is kind of the dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. So I just put this kind of where I want a little bit of a glow. So the cheeks and the forehead, and then just bring it a tiny bit down the nose. But you just want to add a little bit of glow up there. If you went in with the Halo Glow Skin Tint, you probably wouldn't need to add this in because you'd already have enough glow with your foundation product. So e.l.f. kind of has a few different lines of products. The Camo line was released first, and they have a concealer that's a lot more full coverage concealer. And then they came out with their Soft Glam line. So the foundation that I used today was the Soft Glam foundation. And then they came out with these Soft Glam concealers, and they also have color correctors. So the e.l.f. Camo concealer is just a little bit heavier than I'm wanting today. but I can maybe show you in a second what that looks like. So as far as a color corrector, which is what I'm going to go in first, they have the light, I have the light pink, the dark pink. If you have darker skin tones, you'd want to use that. And then there's a white. If you just really want to brighten, you could just use a dot of that. But for right now, I'm going to go in with this light pink. So any of that blue, sort of blue-gray that's around under my eye and on my lids. Usually a light pink on a light medium skin tone. Light pink or peach is generally what you want to use to cancel that out. And this Soft Glam concealer is just a really nice formula. I really like it. Okay, so now we're gonna just go in with this other side of that complexion brush. And again, it really feels a lot like that IT Cosmetics number 7. If you love that brush and you are not wanting to spend the money for it, this one is going to be less expensive. Okay, so then that's our color corrector, excuse me. So we took a little bit of the blue-gray out, as you can see. And so now we're going to go in with an actual, just a tiny bit of the concealer. Actually, just for comparison's sake, let's do one eye with the Soft Glam concealer. So I'm just going to do sort of one touch there and one touch there. So on this side, we're going to do the Soft Glam. And on this side, we're going to do the Camo. And this is Light Sand. I usually use a sort of light to light medium base color and then peachy sort of undertone if they have it. Okay, so the Soft Glam one, it definitely feels lighter on the skin, blends out really nicely. I like that one. And then the Camo concealer, even just putting it on my under eyes, it feels thicker to me, definitely. And you can see it has more full coverage. It doesn't look overly cakey or makeupy, but you can definitely tell the difference. I can tell the difference. So this is just lighter coverage, and this is more like full makeupy coverage. It just depends on what you actually are looking for. Just for sake of having them kind of match, it's a little easier to go a tiny bit more than take it away. So I'm just going to come in with this Camo concealer here, just so that my eyes don't not match all day as far as my makeup. That might be distracting to people. e.l.f. also has brow products. They have the brow gel that you can get in different colors, and this one was really viral for a while. It's called the Wow Brow Tinted Gel, and the color that I have, neutral brown. And then they have a brow pencil that has the spoolie on one side, of course, and then a little bit fatter gel line. And then this one's called the Instant Lift Brow Pencil. And then they have a nano one, microfine brow pencil. This is a much finer tip, and this one's in soft brown. So what I'm going to do today is go in with the nano one with the pencil first. Actually, one of the reasons why I generally do brows first is because once you do your sort of foundation, then it tends to get in your eyebrows, and then it's really not great for applying brow products. So I'm just going to wipe that out and start again. So using the fine tip one, and then just kind of bringing in a little bit of the shape. The theory behind this is that if you have a fine tip pencil, that you can create the look of little baby hairs without it looking fake. And then, so I try to make them look like individual hairs as much as possible. I don't like to go crazy with my brows. But then I always use the spoolie to brush through it after doing any product, because you want it to look sort of as natural as possible. And then I'm gonna come in with this Wow Brow. And a brow gel is gonna hold your brows in place. And then you can do a clear one or a tinted one. I believe the Wow Brow also comes in clear. I get a tinted one because if you are someone that doesn't need to fill in your brows, like adding volume, you can just use a gel and that will sort of hold them in place without needing to add any volume in. But if you need to add a little volume, you can use the pencil to add a little bit of volume to the eye, just a little, like fill in any gaps that you might have from the plucking that we all did in our earlier years that now we wish we didn't. Part of e.l.f.'s camo collection also, they have really great color correctors in that collection as well. So they have a good light peach, which was a great, I used the light peach from the Soft Glam, but this one's the camo version of it. I really also like this one. And then a blue would be a corrector, you know, if you had like more orangey skin. And then the green, of course, is for redness. So if I'm spot correcting for redness, like if you have a blemish or whatever, or I'm just like, gosh, you know, that primer didn't bring my redness down quite as much as I wanted, you can always just come in with a touch of the green on any spot that you're thinking that doesn't look good and bring that in. And I really do, the color correctors for e.l.f. are literally $5 and they're really very good. Because so for the price point, you can't go wrong with the e.l.f. Color correctors. One of the other former, you know, lines, not the brand new one that they had, was the Halo Glow line. And so they have great contour and blushes that are the same style as the ones that Charlotte Tilbury did, where it has the little like squeezy poof on the end that you just kind of squeeze the product into, and you can kind of do the dot, 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 and then blend it in. So I do like these contours or bronzers and blushes. So if you want to do that, if you want to use that product, then you just come in, do the little dots, and then blend them in. But of course, their new product line, which is all over the internet, is their new stick bronzers and blushes. So, but I just wanted to show you, if you loved the Charlotte Tilbury version that has this sort of applicator, these are really great. So that was the contour. And then if you had the blush, this color blush is Candle Lit. It's a really sort of pale pink. You would just do the same and come in, you know, you just squeeze a little bit up and then just kind of the blush goes just higher and then tap it in. The most popular things going right now are the little sticks. So these are the new ones that everyone's talking about. And so the colors that I have are light, medium, and medium. And so the light medium is more of a little bit of a grayer color. That's the light medium, if you can see that. And then the medium's more of a bronzy color. So as far as what you're looking for, if you're looking to do more contouring, I would use the light medium because it's more of a cool tone. And if you're looking for a bronzier look, I would use the medium if you are my skin tone. But obviously, you go into the store and swatch them if you are not sure where to go. But so I'm going to use the bronzing portion for today, and just this one's really emollient and easy to use. So I think you can just literally come right on the skin with these, and then just up on the forehead with the bronzer. A lot of makeup artists that I have learned or watched tutorials from, they bring the bronzer up this line here to have it be a continuity of the nose up into the brow, and then a little bit on the liner on the upper, sort of the V of your lip, and then that center of your lower lip, and then a little along the jawline and a V on your, what do I call my wattle. And then they also did a dupe of the Makeup by Mario famous F4 brush. And you guys, literally this brush is, I mean, I have a couple of the Mario F4 brushes and I have used them like side by side. You cannot tell the difference. And I think this one might be $12. I'll link it below, but it's so good. So I used the sort of more tapered side for the bronzer, and then on the other side that's more fluffy and flatter, I use it for blush. So it's nice to have a double-ended sort of kind of twofer. So yeah, I love this brush. I think they sold out really fast because people were like, what? That's amazing. But you know, they want to make more, so they will. It probably is back in stock by now. I'll put it below if you're interested. So there we go on the chin. So by the time you blend it, you can't like see that line exactly, but it just kind of puts a little bit of structure and gives you a little more of a jawline. And then make sure you blend, sort of blending up with that sort of bronze color. You never want to pull it down. And then their new blush sticks, they have tons of colors of these. This one's called Muted Mauve. And so again, just in the exact same way, I'm just going to come in right here, high on the cheek, and then use the other side of this brush. By the way, the official brush name is called Cream Blush and Bronzer Duo. The other e.l.f. double-ended brush that I really like, that's pretty similar but not quite this shape, is this one called the Liquid Bronzer and Contour one. Also really like that. And of course you can use it for bronzer and contour, or you can use it for bronzer and blush, whatever you want to do. Okay, so now blush, bronzer on. Let's work on my eyes. Okay, so they've also come out with these liquid eyeshadows that are really extremely good. Honestly, I loved that Armani liquid eyeshadow for a long time, and this one, I mean, it's really, really good. I feel like this one's called the Liquid Velvet Eyeshadow. This color is Extra Toasted. Let's see, right there. And then the other one I have here is called Cable Knit. And like one of them's more warm and one of them's more cool, depending on what kind of eye look you're going for. So the darker one there is the Cable Knit. The lighter one is the Extra Toasted. So I'm going to do the Extra Toasted. I always feel like if you go in with a cream shadow, it sets your makeup up to, I mean, I think we've talked about this before. If you layer creams and then do a layer of powder on top, the powder will lock in the cream and your makeup will have a lot more longevity. So eye makeup is the same. I always like to go in with a cream eyeshadow first, just as a good base for any other makeup that you're going to put on your eyes. Or you could literally just do a one and done cream shadow and be done and call it a day. If you just want a really like natural look to go to work or wherever you have going on that day, because that just is very very simple but pretty. This also is a great brush. This is the e.l.f. eyeshadow brush, and I really like it for cream shadows, honestly. And I think it's $2 on Amazon, which, you know, you can't really beat that. e.l.f. has great eyeshadow palettes too. So they have this like bigger palette. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go, 10. And then they have these great little 4 quads. This one's Rose Water, if you can see that. This one's Cream and Sugar, just both really neutral. And then this 10 palette is called Keep It Ethereal. So if you're traveling and just want to pack super like light, that one's really great. But I'm gonna go in with the 10 pan just so we can sorry, I was just looking for my e.l.f. Shadow brushes, which are also great. They have a bunch of different ones. The one that I like sort of the beginning of my eyeshadow is called Eyeshadow C. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's just a good big fluffy brush, and it's just great for sort of your first step. Let's see, I'm gonna go in with like this brown sort of like tanny color because I have that sort of lighter shade of the cream eyeshadow that I put on. So I'm just going to do a real basic eye today. Just kind of put this kind of all over and kind of get it a little stronger up in that sort of outer corner, but all over the lid. And then once you sort of have that on, sorry, it takes a little blending. I'm going to come in with this the peachy color on a little lighter on just the lid itself. And then I like a shimmer. So they have these sort of lighter shimmers, kind of a medium, and then kind of a darker brown shimmer. So I think I'm going to do this sort of medium shimmer. Sort of just pop it in the center of the lid. I know that's just a real super basic eye look, but I feel like it's just kind of neutral and fun. Maybe get that shimmer to pop a little bit more. And then take a smaller brush. This one is just called the flat eyeshadow. And like maybe go in like a tiny bit warmer brown. Can you see which one I'm doing? This one. And put it where I'm going to be also putting eyeliner. But that way, when you have a little bit of a powder before you do your eyeliner, it kind of helps, again, the layering thing, it kind of helps the eyeliner to stick and blend. And e.l.f. has these eyeliners that are a gel liner. No budge retractable eyeliner is this one in coffee, and then they have a waterproof eyeliner pen that's like a liner, that's a liquid liner. So if you are braver than I, you can do the liquid liner, but I like a gel pencil that goes up and down. And then when you have more mature eyes, or hooded eyes especially, you want to go in and do some tight lining. So if you kind of pull your lid up and go in, the idea is to put the liner, think about right where your lashes grow out of your skin, and think about putting the liner like literally at the very base from underneath. So like smushing it in between where the lashes grow so that it's not up on the lid itself, because as we start to lose real estate in our lids, if we get a hooded eye, you don't want to take up that space with actually liner. So it's easier to show you on this side that I just kind of pull it up a little bit and come in just in that line underneath, just right at the root of the lashes. And a gel eyeliner is really easy to use. Okay, so I'm not going to go crazy with the liner. Oh, having a hard time seeing today. This coffee color is really pretty. It's kind of a coffee brown, obviously, but it has a tiny smidge of a bronzy, which I love. And then a little, just a hint down here on the lower liner. Sorry, I can't seem to ever put liner on our mascara without opening my mouth. And I know it's very funny to look at. So there's liner, just again doing a real subtle eye. And then I don't think e.l.f. has a, they probably do, but I don't actually own the e.l.f. Eyelash curler. So I'm going to go in with my favorite, the REFY eyelash curler. And then e.l.f. has a couple different mascaras, but they have a tubing mascara now that I really have tried and like. But they also have, depending on what you're looking for, the tubing one is called Lash Extender, and they have that in different like browns and blacks and different colors. And then they have Incredicurl, which this one I actually haven't used, if you really are like want a curled lash. And then this one is the e.l.f. Lash and Roll, and this one is supposed to be a lot like the Benefit Lash and Roll. So if you're a fan of that mascara, I have heard that the e.l.f. Lash and Roll is very similar to that. So this is a brown color that I'm going to be using, called, creatively it's called Brown, in the tubing mascara, because I just want to have it be, again, a natural eye look, because I'm just not doing anything super crazy today, just running errands and having lunch with a friend. So I'm trying to do my eyes a little more natural. I'm trying out brown instead of black mascara just to see if I like it, see if it's just a little softer. I've totally switched to brown eyeliner, which I used to wear black my whole life, and switching to brown liner has been, I think, a nice change just to soften the look now that I'm in my 50s. And so I'm sort of playing around with the browns. I have learned that not all browns are created equal. There's a lot of shades. There's a lot of shades of black too, obviously, but like, especially with brown, it's harder to find a good, rich, like, are you going to do like a chocolate brown or a dark brown, or like, some of them are more like a reddish brown. So if you had auburn hair, that would be amazing, but I don't. So I don't really want a reddish tint lash. So you just kind of have to, a little bit of trial and error for brown mascaras in my, what I have found. Okay, so here we go. And then on the bottom lashes, there's a little hair on there. I just kind of squish it in vertically into my bottom lashes. So they're just kind of getting a little kiss of mascara without going like, woo, crazy. Back to eyeshadow for a second. They also did come out with these little individual kind of glitter shadows, and they're called Fine as Fleck Glitter Shadows. The ones I have are Champagne Showers and Pop Off Pink. And so if you want to do a fun little glitter in the center of your lash, this one, the Champagne Showers, is sort of more bronzy color, which is more my aesthetic today. So I'm just gonna come on top here and do a little bit extra. These individual glitters are a little bit more of a pop of glitter than the ones in the palette. And so I just kind of like, just a little extra glitter for me is always a good thing. And then I like a little tiny bit of the shimmer glitter right down here in the center. It just kind of makes your eye just brighten right there. So just little dab will do you right there of just the glitter. Boom. e.l.f. also has come out with a whole bunch of new setting sprays. The one that I'm really liking for while I'm doing my makeup application that I normally use the one size powder melt for. This one is called Power Grip Rose Setting Spray. Refreshingly fine spritz and a glistening finish. So this one's just adding a little glow, but it also has sort of a tiny bit of a makeup setting, but it's moisturizing and it's gonna kind of help blend the powders together. So I put this on a few different times during my makeup application, generally, to make sort of everything blend in together. And then for powders, they've come out with so many new things. It's pretty crazy. So they have these little palettes. So this is a blush palette, and I like that it has different colors, and one of them is a little bit shimmery. Sorry, it's really dirty. And then they have contour and bronze. So I got, for the contouring palettes, I got, I think, the lightest two. This one's obviously a little bit lighter than that one, but they're both cream. Oh, I'm sorry. This one's cream contour palette, and this one's powder contour palette. Wow, they are really coming out with some great stuff. I've used them both, and I didn't realize this one was only powder. And then this is a bronzer palette. So obviously we're not going to use all the different shades today. But so the cream bronzer and contour, I don't really feel like I need to do that because I already did my stick. But I will do a powder. Now, because, you know, e.l.f. is a much less price point, and most of the things are like between $5 and $12. I'm going to just come in with this powder one that's a little bit of a, more of the sort of bronzer neutral color. And just, if you kind of just put the powder bronzer over the top of where you put your cream bronzer, it sets it and then kind of blends it in. This brush is also a little more dense. So I'm going to flip it over to the side that's softer. The dense side is generally for the cream products, and the fluffier side is for the powder. So just kind of setting the bronzer that I already did with the cream. But if you wanted to lighten it up, you could always do, you know, the lighter ones and get, like, if you wanted to do like a more contoured look, you could do like, you know, like a lighter line underneath it if you were going for that sort of more of a snatched cheek look. Put way too much on. Hold on one second, let me blend that out. Okay, and then we have our powder blush palette that I showed you. And this one, I think I'm just gonna go with this little rosy color up here, and then just right above where the bronzer was, tiny bit up here, just kind of blend in the powder. And then because I want kind of a glowy look, sometimes I bring the blush just, you know, a little all over just to make everything a little cohesive. When it's first on your brush, it's going to be the most product, and then after you sort of blended it, it's really light on your brush, and you can kind of just do a little tiny hint everywhere of different, just kind of blending the color together without making it super, super dramatic. And then I also really like, they have these shimmery highlights that are the dupe for, I think, really the Rare Beauty one. And this one's called Prosecco Poppin' Halo Glow Silky Powder Highlighter. And this is really pretty. This is going to be that same brush that is that Makeup from Myra F4 dupe. And then they also have another really good brush that's called the Stain and Tint Blending Brush. That's single-sided, that I really like this brush too. So I'm going to use the Stain and Tint one for the highlighter. So with the highlighter, you just want to come in on the cheeks, up forehead if you want, and then just a little on the nose. And it just kind of makes everything just extra sort of glowy and just, I think, pretty. So if you finish your makeup up with a little powder, they've now come out with these quads. There's a bunch of different ones based on your color, how, you know, light or dark your skin tone is. But these are pretty much a dupe of the Givenchy, also that was a quad that you can blend. So this one, if you can see, it's correcting and brightening. And so because it has the green and the peach, you know, this is kind of a color correcting finishing powder. And then this one is more like lavenders and peaches. So this one's for like light, but it says fair to tan. So I think it's really all skin tones can use these because of the way you can blend the colors together. So I'm just gonna go in with a really light diffusing brush for a powder brush. This is actually not an e.l.f. brush. This is the Nikki LaRose N20S. And it has a powder puff in it, but then it also has this little like dial that you can, so you can, if you want to get just one of the 4 colors, you can get that out, or you can get them all at the same time. So if you do the peachy color, it's kind of good for under eyes to like take off any like blue color. If you do the green, it's obviously to help with the red. So you want to just do a really tiny little bit of powder with a nice diffusing brush. Some of the younger creators that you see go in with like a big, like a powder puff and put a ton of powder on and call it baking, whatever. I just think for mature skin, we cannot wear that much powder or it's gonna look like you are cakey and dry and horrible. But if you just take a little tiny diffusing brush and just do a little powder in the spots that need it and just kind of barely put it there, it actually does a beautiful job of setting your makeup and like helping it not be shiny and last all day, but not making you cakey and just looking dry and cakey is not what we want. So just again, just a tiny bit. If you think you got a little too much, then just sort of blend it on your hand first. Get as much of the powder off that brush as you can. And then come in, you can do a little bit under the eyes, on the sides of the nose, sometimes around the lips. If you're going to come in with a lip liner, it's nice to put a little layer of the powder just around where your lip liner is going to go, and that'll help sort of have the lip liner adhese a little bit better. And then just a tiny bit up on the forehead. Okay, so that's the powder quad. And if you want to fully embrace the glow, you could also, the Halo Glow product line has the loose setting powders in different colors, and then they also have the pressed setting powder. So because I just used a loose powder on my face, I don't want to use more loose powder, but this is just the glowy setting powder. So if you wanted to bring this along for touch-ups during the day or whatever, again, you would just use sort of a really fine diffusing brush that you can tap into this setting powder, but the pressed one. And then again, if you want to just like rub it into your hands so that you get a lot of the excess off. And then let's say, you know, during the day, if you need to touch up, you can come in and do the same thing that we just did with the other powder. But the pressed powder is a lot easier to travel with because it doesn't make nearly as big of a mess as the pressed, as the loose can. Again, you know, this one's just glowy. So if you want a glowier sort of finish, then do the Halo Glow powder. If you want sort of a more, you know, color corrected and matte finish, then you'd probably want to use the quads. For lip liner, I have 3 of the e.l.f. pencils. I have the Spill the Tea, Truth or Bear, this one, and this one's Pinky Swear. Oh, that's cute. Okay, so I like to do a little bit of a neutraler, is that a new word? Brown on sort of the external liner. So I'm going to go in with the Spill the Tea, which is this color. It's a pencil that sort of needs to be warmed up. So what I do is I take this pencil, it's just on my hand, and just, if you just kind of run it for a second, it just warms up the pencil so that it blends better. And then I'm going to come in and you go right on the line. And if you want to do the overlining, what you're going to do is go on the line and then just a hair up. Like you won't even want to like really be able to tell that you're overlining. And then a lot of people now, we're used to sort of, when we first did makeup earlier in life, we used to make the like sort of center like V really crisp and defined. And now people are kind of blending it in a little bit more. It's just a personal preference. So whatever look you like for yourself, if you want that crisp V or not, or just kind of the shape of your lip. So a little bit of the darker color I put on the center and not all the way out to the sides because it kind of gives a little bit of a contour to make your lips look a little bit more full. If you just do the darker in the center like that. And then of course with the overlining in the center of the bottom lip, you can come down just a touch more than your actual lip, but you don't want to make it look super, super obvious. And then I'm going to come in with that second shade, Truth or Bare, and that's the pink, and again, warming it up on my hand. You can see this is that, can you see that color? The Truth or Bare color right there. And that's what I'm going to come in on the side with, and then right inside the brown is where I'm going to put that liner so that it kind of is a little bit of an ombre. So it goes a little bit like darker to lighter. These are really nice creamy liners. And then if you wanted to continue going with the ombre so that you had liner all over your lip, you could come in with the pinky. The pinky swear is just a little bit of a cooler pink. It's really not a lot lighter, but you could come in with a little bit different pink so that you get sort of a gradation that's super subtle on your lips, but that way you have pencil all over. So again, when your like lipstick wears off or whatever, you still have a little color on your lips because the liner is going to last longer than the lipstick. With the new Korean beauty looks that are coming out now, that are becoming really popular, sort of the whipped products, that like a muted whipped look. The e.l.f. line has just also come out with these So Blur Real, like that blurred lip, lip and cheek whip. And I have two of them. I have, this one is China Cloud, and it's more of a brown. And then the pink one I have is called Rose Souffle. So if you're going for the blurred lip look, so let's see if I can put it up here and you can actually see it. That one is the pink, the more brown color, the China Cloud. And then this one is the Rose Souffle. Let's put it right next to it. So it's definitely lighter, this one. Can you see that? But they're both sort of that whipped texture that's really become very popular. And this is also for cheeks too, if you wanted to use it on your cheeks. A lot of the makeup products that are really popular right now are things that you can multitask in different areas of the face. So if I wanted a blurred lip, you just kind of come on top of your liner. They feel really soft and moussey, but it's going to be a very matte look. So if you like a matte lip, these are great. But they also, lip product wise, e.l.f. has a ton of like plumping lip oils, just the plain colored lip oils, the glosses. They have so many options. So whatever look you're going for, they will have something for you. So for my final little bit of a shinier topper for this, because I don't want exactly a totally matte lip, but I wanted to show you the look. They have these, this is a plumping glow revival lip oil in the shade Papaya Razzi, kind of a papaya color. But I picked this one just because it's a nice peachy sort of pink color, and it'll just kind of lighten it just a smidge. It has a nice doe foot applicator, and it has just a good glowy gloss that I think feels really nice on the lips. And the plumping in here is, I mean, I can feel it. It's a little bit spicy, but it's not like crazy, like, oh my god, what's happening? It's kind of spicy, you know? Okay, so now we're gonna just, the powder's on, we need to do another layer of finishing spray. Because like we mentioned before, I'm going in for like a dewier look today. I'm gonna do this other Also, this rose one, anytime you see a product that has the ball in there, that is saying that it wants you to shake it before you apply it. So sometimes I get impatient and I don't do a great job of shaking things as much as I should, but the ball is the key to give you the indicator that it's time that it wants you to shake. Okay, so that's just a power grip. And then they also have some different like setting mist. So this one is kind of interesting to me. The Stay All Night Blue Light Micro Setting Mist. Long lasting wear. So blue light, I'm thinking like if you're sitting at your computer all day, this might help to protect your skin from the blue light. I actually haven't used this one. And then this green one is just says up to 16-hour wear, and I have used this one, and it does set your makeup really well. But today I'm going to use this newer one that I got called the Dewy Coconut Setting Mist. That's a long-lasting wear. So now this one doesn't have a ball in it, but I shake it up just in case. And it says lock in a dewy glow with this coconut infused formula that helps give your makeup lasting power while hydrating your skin. Okay. Oh, that mist is, woof. Okay, that is not as broad. So anytime that you have a spray that kind of goes a little rogue, because that one feels like the mist is like a straight line. And it's like, oh gosh, did it just like screw up my makeup? You can take a sponge and like push it into the skin so that you can quickly fix anything that the setting spray might have ruined with its like hitting in one spot. In fact, it's not a bad idea if you have a setting spray that you like, but you don't want it to like, this one's just like literally spraying in one spot. I've never seen it do that before. It's kind of crazy. You could put it on your sponge and just literally go in and set it with your sponge so that you can control where it's going and not have it be so intensely spraying on just that one spot, because that's a little much. Okay, so there we go. That's a full face of e.l.f. makeup. So, I mean, I think it looks pretty good. My whole goal was just to do a really natural, glowy look for just hanging out during the summer and just running errands and going to lunch with a friend. So I didn't want anything too crazy. But anyways, this is the look. And if you have any questions down below, please let me know. I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel, hit the follow notification button so that when I post a new video, you get the alert that I have a new video posted, and share it with your friends. So please comment down below if there's any other brands that you would love to see me do a full face of. I would love to do whatever you guys are interested in. And also, if there's any specific questions that you have about mature skin, mature makeup, like any challenges that you have, put them in the comments below and I will do my best to take those challenges and questions and make videos in the future for you, because that's who I want to help. So anyways, I hope you have a fantastic day, and see you in the next one. Bye.